The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Liz Williams, a founder of the Southern Food and Beverage Museum and author with Maddie Hayes of the brand new cookbook, Southern Food and Beverage Museum Cookbook. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Really good news.
Thank
Lots
you.
to talk about. Alan Smason, of course, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and theatercriticism.com. Hello, sir. Love the bow tie.
Thank you.
Okay. And making his Steppin Out debut, Orlando Hernândez-Ying. And he is the Lapis curator of the Art of the Americas for the New Orleans Museum of Art. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And Poppy returns next week. Now, before we begin, we are very excited about our brand new opening sequence that you just saw, thanks to our director-editor, Michael Kyler, and also to New Orleans clarinetist and composer Tim Laughlin, who is kindly letting us use his composition, The Isle of Orleans. And, of course, we'll continue to use the beloved A.J. Loria's music for our credit sequence. But lots to celebrate, Liz. Let's first of all talk about the museum and then into the book.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
20 years.
20 years. We're really excited.
Yeah. Of course, Aretha Castle Haley, right off St. Charles Avenue, and the old Dryads Market.
That's
How
right.
appropriate is that?
Well, we consider it our largest artifact because it really is a very large artifact. But that building was built in 1921, and so, you know, you can't really complain about it at all. It's fabulous.
And inside are many, if you haven't been yet, you need to go.
That's right.
Because there are many exhibits about food, but also the region, about the South. It's not just New Orleans,
It's
but there's
not just New
obviously
Orleans.
an emphasis on New Orleans.
That's right. But we have that wonderful bar from Brunning's Restaurant.
And there really are, there's hooch at that bar,
That's
right?
right.
It's now open. You can have a drink while you're walking around.
That's right. That's right. You can come in and get a drink, walk around the museum, and enjoy yourself completely while you just wander around. One of the new features is that we have the Mackenzie sign, a real
Big green
restored Mackenzie sign, and an old Barks sign that's from before Barks became the Barks we know today.
Revere.
Yes. So that's exciting. And in our garden now, we have our gardens planted every season so that we have an Africa bed, a European bed, and an America bed, so that it shows people the foods that were brought here from those places that now are included in the foods of the South.
Wow, and you have so many things. You've got the Museum of the American Cocktail
right.
within the museum itself, so lots to see.
Yes,
lots to
definitely.
see. But let's move on to this cookbook. This is really exciting, and this is part of LSU Press has published it for you.
That's right. So we have a cookbook of Southern food. It's called the SoFAB Cookbook, and it is full of what we consider the recipes from the modern South. And we did that because we thought there were certainly enough recipes and cookbooks about the Old South. And so we are looking forward and not backwards.
I even spied a heavenly hash recipe.
That's
Ooh.
right, yeah.
That sounds good. And we're going to show some of the images. And this is so interesting. James Hemming's French vanilla ice cream. Could you give us the backstory on that? Because
Yes.
it's fascinating.
So that's a recipe that Ashbel McElveen contributed because he has been the person who founded the James Hemming Society. And James Hemming was Jefferson's cook, his chef, and he went with him when Jefferson went to France, and he staged in restaurants in Paris and became basically a trained French chef, and came back with Jefferson even though he didn't have to, because the law in France at that time said that if you are enslaved but you stay in France for 6 months or more, you're free, and that no one can force you to leave.
And this was his wife's half-brother? A sibling.
His lover's sibling.
Sibling, lover sibling. Okay, right,
Yes.
not wife.
His
exactly.
mistress or
it was
whatever.
complicated, shall we
Yes,
say?
that's right.
But we've also got Poppy Tooker's gumbo recipe.
That's right.
exciting.
Yes.
You know, and a tomato pie, which to me reminds me of a margarita pizza by Brett Rosen. And so tomato pie and French ice cream, and also your tricolor coleslaw. We have those recipes that we're actually, if you go to the WYES website, click on Steppin Out. Thanks to you. Thank you very much for sharing those too.
Absolutely.
But obviously, check out the cookbook. But very, very exciting. Now, this must have taken years just to compile.
Yes, and we knew we were coming on to our 20th anniversary, so we began before the pandemic and started to put it together. Then kind of things fell apart during the pandemic, as many things did, and then we picked up again and finally got it put together.
Yeah. How many recipes?
There are about 110 recipes.
Wow, you also have drink recipes.
That's right, we do.
I spied an old-fashioned in there, and lots of others, and lots of great desserts too. But do you have a favorite recipe? Because I know you very much have your own culinary heritage yourself.
Yes, I'm one of those people that changes my mind all the time about what my favorite is, but right now that coleslaw recipe is absolutely my favorite. If you just make it and then let it sit for an hour before you actually serve it, and it kind of softens the cabbage, and it's just wonderful. I mean, I could eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner right
Liz, you have so much to be proud of, and I know you consider yourself a founder of SoFAB, but you really are the founder. I mean, you know, and I remember those days we were talking about how initially it was pop-ups, but then Riverwalk, actually there was space in Riverwalk for a while, but to finally find a home, it was quite a journey.
Yes, it definitely was a journey. But you know, when you're trying to do something and you start small and you just make it bigger and bigger and bigger, eventually it works. So we're excited.
Well, also you wear so many hats because you were an attorney, you were, but also you helped start the arts administration program at UNO.
I was involved in that, yeah.
Yes, guilty as charged. But anyway, congratulations.
Thank you.
Really,
Thanks
really.
so much.
Also, wait, you've got a podcast.
That's right.
Plug it.
My podcast is called Tip of the Tongue, and every week I talk to somebody about food or drink.
Yay.
And that's fun.
Okay.
And we also have the new exhibit at the museum right now, which is called The Natural Port, and it's all about New Orleans and coffee.
As opposed to port wine.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And Orlando, once again, welcome. I know you've now been at NOMA for a while, but this is a new position.
It is, and I'm flabbergasted. I'm super excited to be here again.
We're going to show images while we
Absolutely.
talk, sort of representative of the vast collection at NOMA that you'll have to work with, because you're going to take a different look at some of these.
Absolutely.
So please share those thoughts.
Well, one of the things that in which the field is moving towards, it's the art of the Americas. It's no longer, we have art history has been a very Eurocentric field.
Yes.
You know, it was basically invented in Germany, so it was very Eurocentric, starting from the classical art from Greece and Rome. But now we're looking at at a more global, more encompassing view of art, and I'm getting inspired also by this term that was invented by the Kuna Indians in Panama, where I'm originally from, and very proudly of so well. And the term is Abya-Yala, and they were an indigenous tribe from Panama, basically. They live in the isthmus of Darien and the islands of Cunayala now. but they had this concept that they belonged to something bigger, and that bigger thing is Abya Yala. So they had a notion of the entire continent, even if they were only a part of it. And that's what I'm thinking about in terms of all the arts that took part in the Americas, and actually, like, comparing one or the other and juxtaposing one or the other.
Well, as you well know, and I know you've taught at Tulane in the past,
yes.
but the whole concept of the pre-Columbian exploration,
Absolutely.
that a lot of many Tulane scientists went down there, archaeologists, and this is an example.
Yes,
it's
that's
just
correct.
Incredible.
Well, it's called now the New Orleans panel among Mayans because it's a very famous and very relevant work from El Cayo site. El Cayo is located in Chiapas, near the border with the Mexican border with Guatemala. And this is a leader or lord called Sahal, and his name is Chanchoc Wayib. And he took, the panel actually shows the day that he took power over the site of El Cayo in 630 of the Common Era during the late classic period of the Maya.
And then moving over to the Virgin Mary.
Yes, well, that is one of my favorites.
Yes,
she
so
is from the Viceregal period, formerly known as the colonial period. And it comes from the area of Alto Peru, now Bolivia. And we know that because of the tricolor halo that she has. She's crowned by the three holy, by the God Almighty, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit.
Trinity.
The Holy Trinity,
the
thank you
Holy
very much.
Trinity.
But also, until the 18th century, the Holy Trinity was represented in South America as the same person. Basically, like I said, representation of Jesus Christ. They didn't have the dove or, the elderly or Lord the Father. Because for the Indians, the concept of the Trinity was still new, so they didn't want to, mislead them into believing in birds or animals or so on. So they actually portrayed it, even if in the 17th century it had been, discarded in Europe. So that's a very important work from South America that still has that, flavor of the indigenous world and also the European notions of Christianity.
Well, I know you have like a sort of a multi-year plan.
Yes.
So what exhibit can we look forward to that you have your stamp on in the near future?
We're starting in November. We had a painting of the Virgin Mary from a statue of the Virgin Mary that for the longest time we thought it was Peruvian, but it happens to be Italian from southern Italy.
Oops.
Right. Which is very important because for the longest times when I was studying art history, we thought that, European-centered, professors and academicists thought that Latin American art from the 17th and 18th century was like a bad and secondary copy of European art. But if we can mistake a Peruvian art for an Italian one, that means that they could be like it could go one way or the other, and it debunks the whole. That old view of colonial art or viceregal art. So in November, we're putting both paintings, the Italian one and the Peruvian one, face to face, and then we'll have the public, decide, how is it different, how is this the same, and challenging, those ancient, those old views of art history.
So much of the work that you'll be focusing on is on the third floor, so it's like go to the third floor.
Well, actually, what we're
check
trying,
out Orlando
but
stuff.
the plan is to bring everything to the front and center in the second
Yes.
floor around the mezzanine. So we're going to start with that, of course, and I look
You're moving
forward.
it around.
Yes, I'm going to shake a little bit the game in the museum, but I look forward to all the new things and those contextualizations or recontextualizations that we're going to bring up with the
And we should point out, though, that you were not new to New Orleans.
No.
Because you have taught at Tulane in the
Correct.
past. You come from New York, most recently the Hispanic Museum in New York.
Correct.
But you were a guest curator at the Historic New Orleans Collection a few years back.
I had a special invitation from them, actually, to deal with the Viceregal collection, and we put it in the French Quarter, and was actually my first exhibit here in the United States. So as an academic, an academic from Panama coming to the United States and having my first opportunity in New Orleans, it's like coming back home. And I really look forward to all the new surprises that we have in the collection, which are a lot. But also I feel at home in some way because, as I told you before, like Panama and New Orleans have the same, cultural strata. We have Spanish, French for the French Canal, and also, American for the American Canal. So I can communicate very well with the community, and I hope that, that can also inspire people to come and see things with new eyes.
And just very briefly, because we were talking beforehand about Louis Russell, a famous jazz musician from the 20s and 30s, originally from Panama, but then lived here.
Well, that's your contribution to my own history, and I look forward to learning more about that. Yes, absolutely. The story of jazz, Danilo Cholo Perez, and now Louis Russell. We have a lot to keep talking about.
Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you.
Alan.
Well, there's a lot going on that side of the table. You got one person talking about the Trinity, and there's another person there talking about food, and she has her own Trinity.
That's right.
So, it's taken 9 years for Augustin Carrero and Nick Shackelford to tackle one of Tennessee Williams' most endearing, greatest works, and that's A Streetcar Named Desire. But this may be the pinnacle of their achievements, I have to say. That's not hyperbole, because remember, you have to compare this to some of their other well-received pieces, such as Vieux Carré, The Night of the Iguana, Camino Real, Suddenly Last Summer, and Sweet Bird of Youth, which are all wonderful. But this production, oh my goodness. To begin with, the role of Blanche Dubois is played so much to perfection by newcomer Charlie Carr, who made her debut, by the way, last year in the company's Spring Storm. She embodies the role of a woman on the edge of her sanity, trying to outwit and out-scheme everyone in the encounters that she has in seamy and steamy New Orleans of the past. She informs her sister, Stella, played by Elizabeth McCoy there, that their ancestral home, Belle Reve, has been lost. And she deflects that the house had been sold for taxes on her own watch, blaming her sister in absentia for it having slipped through her fingers. Enter the common and craggy Stanley Kowalski, that's Stella's husband, who's the animalistic yin to Blanche's cerebral yang. Stanley wants Blanche out of the way so that he and Stella can have the home back to themselves. Sean Richmond cuts an impressive figure as Stanley. He rages against his sister-in-law with raw animal energy. She captures the manners of Southern gentility, using her language very much as her virtual armor in jousting with Stanley and trying to deflect his boorish behavior. Blanche, by the way, schemes to make Stanley's co-worker and army buddy, Harold Mitchell, known as Mitch, to fall in love with her. Robinson J. Cyprian portrays Mitch tentatively, a mama's boy who hardly knows how to handle the manipulative Blanche, leaving him under a little bit of the impression that she is chaste and pure. Little does he know. In the ultimate showdown, though, between Blanche and Stanley, there you see them, when the immovable object meets the unstoppable force, there is fire and passion and, yes, desire. Ultimately, Blanche finds the magic she's seeking, but it drives her towards lunacy, as no one will believe what actually happened. Carrero's brilliant direction, creative team designs by Nick Shackelford, Diane K. Bass on the lighting, Steve Shepker on the scenic design are all excellent. This is at the Marigny Opera House, of course. The stellar cast also includes Tracy Collins, Robert A. Mitchell, and Quinn Laperouse. It all makes for a most satisfying production, a great ride, and one that will propel the company into their next year, season number 10. X marks the spot. Check it out. Extended now through August the 11th. That's A Streetcar Named Desire. Meanwhile, at the National World War II Museum, there's music in the air. I was delighted to be a part of a very difficult panel trying to judge the second week preliminary with fellow judges you see here, Flo Presti and Leslie Castay. When we got onto the scene, we already knew that Noah Lanier had won his first week competition. Again, this is like the fourth time. After 10 singers had performed that second week, we had our second winner, Elizabeth Lowry, who performed Green Eyes in both Spanish and English. Ain't like that. And then, of course, this past Tuesday night, Isabel Gisclair was declared the third week's winner. This will set up a final week for competition before the Stage Door Idol final is set for August the 13th. So who will replace current Stage Door Idol Whitney Mixon? Check out next Tuesday, and then you'll find out when you come to the finals on August the 13th. I'm sure that Whitney will perform her final song there. It's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful 2 weeks to go, and go check it out. I really just love this as a summer festivity for me to see. Now, Peggy, it just seems like yesterday that Sweeney Todd was opening and Anything Goes was on stage at Summer Lyric Theater at Tulane. Well, now, in just another week, it's going to be time for the third jewel in their crown for this summer of productions. And this one will be a special show directed and choreographed by none other than my own favorite, Diane Lala, with fellow choreographer Johnny Buisson, who was so incredible with Anything Goes as a choreographer. She's going to be a member of the ensemble, but look who's going to be playing the leading player. That's the role originated by Ben Vereen in the original Broadway cast and later played by Patina Miller Miller in the Tony Award-winning Revival. That's none other than original stage door idol and New Orleans family royalty Chase Kamada. And then E.J. Doring is Pippin, and others include Michael John Smith as Charlemagne, his father, and Bob Eads Jr. in a role you will not believe. You're going to have to see it for yourself. That's Pippin at Summer
They've
Lyric
got magic
Theater.
to do.
Yes, magic to do. And there's a lot going on in Pippin. You're going to see some really wonderful performances there. Now, this week, Liz knows what's been going on. We've had Tales of the Cocktail keeping me busy. I've been trying to keep up with all the activities at Tales of the Cocktail. Here I am at the Masson de Perrier event, where they serve some French rose champagne in addition to the Perrier
That's a great
water.
photo of you.
Appreciate that. The drinks were flowing smoothly at a number of special tastings and events, including this one sponsored by the Punch Room and Pinterest. Sue Strawn, we talked about LSU Press, signed her Cafe Brûlot books near the Bitters and Books area, manned by Octavia Books. And then outside the Orpheum, I introduced Tara Lago I knew I was going to mess it up. Tara Lago Marcino. She is the public relations lady for Tales, and that's producer and showman Carl Mack. They'd never met before, so I was delighted to do that. Now, why was Carl Mack there? Because inside, Carl was presiding over a number of performances. Look at that, for the William Grant & Sons special event at the Orpheum. The music was pulsating through the night. The performers were all spectacular. Look at that lady. She was suspended about 12 feet up. The House of Walker next at the Country Club was there yesterday, and it was renamed the House of Walker. Everybody was treated to tastings of Johnny Walker Black and especially Johnny Walker Blue. I love the souvenir bottles they gave away. It's such a fantastic event, and I've been there for many years. I love coming to see this because people from all across the country, I talked to people from Boston yesterday, they've made this the leading spirits industry conference. It all ends, unfortunately, tomorrow, but what a fantastic show for the attendees and those lucky enough to be able to attend. This is a fantastic series of events. Started, of course, with Ann and Paul Tuneman years ago, and now carrying on with the great team that they have in place now. I just have to tell you that it has gotten to be so much better and more intense, specific for the industry than it ever was before. A lot of times it was just an event to go see parties. Now they're really dealing with a lot of issues confronting the industry.
Thank you so much, Alan. And the final WYES Season of Good Taste dinner takes place this Wednesday, July 30th, at the Pelican Club in the Quarter. WYES's own Dana Hansel recently visited owner and chef, of course, Richard Hughes, for a preview.
Hi, I'm Dana Hansel with WYES, and we're excited to talk about the upcoming Season of Good Taste wine dinner at the Pelican Club. And I'm here with Chef Richard Hughes, who's been part of the hospitality industry for a while here in New Orleans. He was born in New Orleans, but went to New York to open 4 restaurants. And goodness, he came back to us because he loves New Orleans. So we're going to talk about this fabulous dinner he has put together, where we have tuna, lobster salad, sword, tenderloin, and amazing wine. So Chef, tell us about this fabulous menu.
Well, it's 6 courses. We try to use local ingredients. We try to hit on some high points throughout the meal. We have Mark Hightower from Wines Unlimited, who has paired really exceptional wines with each course. And we have a special intermezzo in the middle, which is a surprise that we won't tell you what it is right now. And also when you get here, we have a welcome cocktail, and that's usually something different, exciting, creative. So it's going to be a great meal.
Well, you always sell out, and we thank you for all your support over the years of WYES. So please go to wyes.org/events and get your ticket now. Thank you.
All right, go to, as we said, wyes.org/events. There are still a few tickets left. That is going to be one amazing dinner. And thanks again to the folks at Pelican, Richard Hughes, who's been very, very generous over the years. We certainly appreciate it here at WYES. Now time for our picks of the week. Liz.
Well, first of all, I want to remind people to come and have a drink at the bar at SoFAB and enjoy the fact that you're at a museum drinking maybe red wine.
And there's also a cooking school.
That's right.
There are all kinds of things.
We have a wonderful cooking school. Chef D. Levine's Delightful Roux School of Cooking. And there's just
Love it.
lots and lots. People should come to our website and find out what's going on and come by and pick up a book.
You bet. Alan.
Well, Gilbert and Sullivan's Immortal, The Pirates of Penzance is playing at Playmakers Theater in Covington this weekend. It's subtitled The Slave of Duty. It's about Frederick, who's about to be released from his period of indebtedness as a pirate to the Pirate King on his 21st birthday when he meets a major general and his daughters, and it takes off from there. You will love it. Again, that's The Pirates of Penzance at Playmakers Theater.
Is it a modern Major General?
It is a modern major. I'll see you at the theater.
Orlando.
And Noma with Soul Sip, a new art and wine series starting on Wednesday, August 7th and August 14th with a wine tasting and guided meditation and a close look at a wine-inspired artworks in the museum.
That sounds like so much
I
fun.
know. And
Ooh.
then we also have a free fall festival on Saturday, September 28th. In the Sculpture Garden, featuring music, food, drinks, and activities for all visitors of all ages. So step up.
All right. And now my picks, don't forget Sunday's Piety Market at Hotel Peter and Paul. So beautiful there, 2317 Burgundy. Tina May is on guitar, and vintage clothing, colorful decorative items, and even locally produced pennants. If you've never seen those, Pennants as opposed to pennants. Okay. Anyway, check out the Piety Market's Facebook page for more information. St. Anna's Episcopal Church has a concert this Friday and Saturday evening featuring Zara Spalding with an evening of Gilbert and Sullivan, actually, and also other British music, dance, and the spoken word. For details, go to tremeartistscollective.com and click on events on the menu. Thank you all so very much.
you.
Glad you all could be together today. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Good night.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation promotes, preserves, and perpetuates music, culture, and heritage through programs, cultural, educational, and economic activities year-round. Learn more at jazzandheritage.org. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.